Hey, I'm Dean and this is Legacy Voyage. In Season 1, I'm documenting my journey to earning my first 100K net worth as a full-time college student. Join me as I share some of the lessons I learned along the way. I think I might have found the secret hack to winning the game. And when I say winning the game, all that means is to end the game. And I think I found it. It ties back to this thing called dopamine. And dopamine is really important because it's that chemical that lights up our brain and tells us to keep doing that thing over and over and over again. For example, if you have, let's say, food, for me, cookies. When I have a cookie, dopamine hits my brain and it lights up like fireworks. Tells me, okay, Dean, that cookie means a lot of dopamine. Just keep having cookies. And in the same way, it kind of works for me with something like philosophy or business, where it lights up my brain and it tells me putting out that piece of content, getting in that work, watching that podcast, reading that book, making a new insight. All these things light up my brain. The fireworks goes off and it says, keep on doing that because of those dopamines. And so understanding that more clearly, I think allows us to hack our brains. It's like biohacking, being able to do certain things in certain ways to make our brain work for us instead of against us. So I'm listening to this podcast, Andrew Huberman, big Stanford professor, huge audience, neuroscientist. The man knows his stuff. And he did this deep dive into dopamine. And he's talking about dopamine. He's talking about how we can use it to get through procrastination or times of low motivation. And he's talking about this thing going into a bunch of detail. And then he says there's this one thing called the holy grail of motivation. And if you can get your hands on this type of motivation, there's nothing in the world that's stopping you from doing what you want to do. And that's when my ears kind of perked up. I'm like, well, what is it? I got to know what this is. Because I'm trying to use this to go out and win the game, to go out and do cool things. So he keeps on explaining, talking more and more about it. And then he says, this is what other people refer as the one thing or the inner chi or the secret weapon. He's using all these big words, hyping this thing up, this holy grail of motivation. And I'm over here just dying to know what it is. And then he says, this is intrinsic motivation. Motivation that doesn't come from the outside, but it comes from you, comes from within. Now, let me paint this into perspective. Let's say I want to run a marathon. That's the game. The game is the marathon. The end goal of the game is to complete a marathon, run those 26 or whatever miles. So that could be my motivation. I'd be, man, if I can just get those 26 miles, that's all I need. That's all I'm going to be motivated about. Or you can take it even further saying, you know what? My motivation isn't actually completing the marathon. My motivation is just being healthy or just having good cardio. But even then, that's not intrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation with a marathon would be, I want to go and run because I love running. It completely disconnects the outcomes from your motivation. Or even if you can't complete the marathon, then it doesn't matter. And it makes that end goal of completing the marathon that much easier. Because if you wake up every morning and you have that intrinsic motivation that comes from within to go out and go for a run, then there's nothing stopping you. And that's the value of intrinsic motivation. That's the type of motivation where you enjoy playing the game. Not because of some end goal of the game of making money or getting all the approval from everyone. Playing the game because you love it, because you enjoy playing it. And that's where I think the real power is. And that's what intrinsic motivation really is. It's when you enjoy playing the game. Like the game of business, it's not all dandelions and rainbows. It's not all butterflies, like going to all these big events and making all the big social media posts. The real game of business happens when it's you at the laptop, grinding, sending messages, and doing the little things that need to be done because the game needs playing. And if you're not going to play it, someone else will. Just wanted to share that insight because I thought it was really, really powerful. A bit of a life update. I thought I was dead set on the consulting world. Honestly, now I have no idea. I've been having a whole bunch of conversations with a whole bunch of different people from a whole bunch of different backgrounds, getting a whole bunch of different viewpoints, and I still don't know what I'm going to do. But that's okay because that's a part of the game, is not knowing what you're going to do. And so right now, honestly, I don't think I need to be stressing out as much about my future. Like, I don't need to know what I'm going to be doing 10 years from now. All I really need to know is what I'm going to be doing next quarter and for the summer. And I think I already have a plan for that. which is gonna go do the startup program with the garage, and then maybe gun for like short-term sophomore programs like the Bain entrepreneurship thing and see where things go. Really, I think it's just all a part of playing the game. So we'll see where it leads. Tomorrow, heading out to Salt Lake. Should be a good time. I was thinking of doing like a Nesian news post about the whole BYU luau. Maybe I will. We'll see. 'Cause the other thing on my mind is maybe pivoting with Nesian news instead of having it like a podcast style. Do it more like a blog and be like the one-stop shop for anything related to Islander news. This is like global news and pop culture in America and really everything. So that's one idea that's kind of boiling in the back of my mind. I think right now for the next couple weeks, we'll just focus on the podcast, focus on getting cool people on, building up that audience. And then once we get that on autopilot to where we're just churning out episodes day in, day out, then we'll start building up the blog and setting up those systems in place. But yeah, for the in terms of my actual priorities in life, let's start with the first one. Number one is health. Mental health, really good actually. I think I'm in a really good place right now where I'm not calling myself a failure, but it's recognizing that my systems are failing me, which gets on to the second part of my health, which is my physical health. Physical health, still hovering around that 23% body fat range. Wasn't able to go to the gym today. That's okay. I think now I'm going to be able to do more of those high intensity workouts. At least I'm not sore from rugby. So that'll probably help more. But really, the 80-20 of health is like getting your protein and calories in. So that's one of the systems that I'm trying to think through is what would be the best way to restrain myself with eating. One thing I'm kind of working with is called like the hunger fullness scale, where basically before you eat a meal or before you eat anything, you ask yourself, well, am I even hungry? You try to rate how hungry you are, try to say like, well, why are you eating in the first place? Because a lot of the times, especially for me, I'm not eating because I'm actually hungry. I'm eating because I'm stressed or social pressure or all the other things that go into it. So I'm trying to test that as an alternative to tracking every single calorie. That's pretty chill. In terms of relationship, number one, of course, is family. Family life is as good as it can be, honestly. Calling the fam every day, or at least trying to. With romantic relationships, I think one of the most important questions in life is who you're going to end up with. For me, I've just started playing the dating game. Hopefully, the end goal of that would be like marriage, and then the infinite game of actually enjoying the marriage. So just started that game. We'll see where that takes me. And then with friends, I mean, honestly, I don't have probably any like I would say any. I'd say I have like single digits. You can probably count it on one hand how many real friends I have. Like people who we both actually care about each other. And then the final part is wealth. I mean, honestly, right now, wealth isn't too big of a pressure. The biggest thing as well is really, I think, Nisha news, or maybe Nisha is more under health, or maybe under relationships. It's a passion project because I'm super passionate about this thing, and I'm learning a bunch while I'm doing it. And so it's this nice in between of doing something I love. Hopefully, the world needs it. Actually, the world definitely needs it. Hopefully, I can make money from it, and I think I'm pretty good at it. So we'll see if those four things can align properly and see where it takes me. But I like that structure a lot. I'll do that for now on with the life updates. Give a brief rundown of where I'm at with my three priorities in life and try to share the real insights into my journey. Because I'm gonna be looking back at this being like, oh dang, can't believe I was in that state of mind. I was thinking about those things as a sophomore in college. That's was wild. Even right now, thinking back to when I first started doing these last year, that's wild. I think it's been a full year. But as is life, it's all a part of the game. I record these episodes completely free to share success with everyone. So the only thing I ask is that if you learned anything or found something interesting in this episode, just leave a review and share it with a friend. Only takes 5 seconds and it would mean the world. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next episode. Tatok, see you.